HQ Spotlight here on a Monday. So it feels like forever since we have seen a steady version of college football in the postseason, right? Like, what was your favorite? Just pick an era. Everyone complained about the BCS era when that was there. Now many people are begging for it. Not everyone has loved the college football playoff unless you're a team that won it, like Ohio State this past season. And guess what? It is changing again. So for more on that, let's welcome in Tom Fornelli, Smoke Dixon here. Tom, where did this come from? Because this is your article on CBSSports.com. Everyone could go check it out. Were you just like sitting at home stewing, or has this been a format idea of yours that's been coming around for a while?
The off season is very long, and it leaves you with a lot of time to just kind of sit there alone thinking about things. And the college football playoff is just one of the things that in this industry and in this job comes up a lot. And I care about this sport. I care about the way that we determine national champions. So I just wanted to come up with a way that I think both determines the best team in the country while also serving the fact that this is still an entertainment and a television product, and there are a lot of people you have to make happy. So I think at the end, I came up with a pretty good format that accomplishes most of those goals.
Okay, so let's dive into it. Smoke, by the way, in the commercial break was saying that he was giving you a thumbs up. He pretty much likes what you're doing here. Let's start with the 16-team format with straight seeding. Explain to us how that's going to go down.
Yeah, it's 16 teams, just like you would see in the NCAA tournament with straight seeds, 1 through 16. One will play 16, 8 will play 9, so on and so forth. And those seeds will be based on a ranking just like we have now. But also, how do you determine those 16 teams? There are 6 conference champions getting in. So that's the Power Four, and then it would be 2 Group of 5 champions, which would leave 10 at-larges. And while those, you get the automatic berth for winning your conference or being one of those 2 higher seeds, you do not get a top seed just for winning your conference like we saw this year in the 12 seed, where the 4 teams that got byes were automatic conference champions. And going forward, too, I also just think that this is a format which it eliminates byes, it eliminates the need to argue about who deserves the byes, and it also kind of rewards those teams that have the best records, because if you are a higher seed, you will be playing a 16 or a 15 seed, which most years will be a team from the Group of 5. So it's not a bye, but it'll probably feel like a bye at times.
Well, Tom, you know what? I love the idea of just having a 16-team bracket. Like, it puts us all into the mind frame of listen, the best teams are going to get it because everyone has a chance now. But the fact that you've rewarded the better teams with a home field advantage, marvelous idea. It gets the people back on campus, the alums like myself back there. And it's like you said, it's an entertainment business. So we want to be entertained. And the best environment that college breeds is the games on Saturday, where you have the students coming out, all the alums coming back on campus. And again, when you talk about reward, it's all in winning. And the more you win, the better the seeding is. And when you talk about seeding means a lot. And it puts you into the better winners bracket. And the fact that you don't have byes in there, I love it. Because we looked at last year and we saw the system was flawed slightly. While the teams that had byes, they went over and they didn't win the championship.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if that was maybe it was a surprise to a lot of us. But either way, okay, so how teams get in. Tom, you mentioned briefly, you touched on it briefly, but I've got a paragraph about this big in front of me explaining how the teams get in. So break it down a little bit more.
Yeah, like I mentioned, it'll be the 6 conference champions automatically getting in every year. That's the 4 Group of 4 and probably 2 Group of 5. At least that's how it will be most years. Who knows? Maybe there will be a season where one of the Power 4 champions doesn't rank as one of the 6 highest teams. But I think that would be the case most years. But as you can see, the Big Ten and the SEC, I have them giving 3 auto bids. They want 4, or at least that's the model that they've been pitching for a lot of the offseason. But I've decided to change things a bit. Instead of giving them 4 auto bids, I'm capping conferences at having no more than 4 teams in any single season. So we are going to give the Big Ten and the SEC 3 bids. And while that seems kind of cheap and not fair, and I get it because I kind of can't stand the idea myself, the fact of the matter is, under the current way that the leagues are put together, with their current schools in, if you go back through the entire college football playoff history, each league has always had at least 3 teams ranked within the top 16. Most years they have 3 teams in the top 10. So while it feels cheap to give them those automatic berths, the fact of the matter is they're getting those 3 teams in either way. So you're kind of just compromising. You're giving them a little bit, but then you're also hitting them with the cap to where they can't get more than 4 teams in the field, which then opens things up for the Big 12, the ACC, Notre Dame, and the other group of 5 leagues for teams that maybe don't win their leagues, but are still good enough to deserve a shot to be in the playoff.
Commissioner Tom, you had old smoke going, and I was saying yes, because you had it all right. But this is where I push back and say, okay, forget giving automatic bids to any conference. If you're going to put it into a 16-team bracket, have the best teams, regardless of the conference, get in. Stop and remove the 4 bids or the 3 bids from the SEC. Don't put a cap on having 4 teams that can go from each conference in terms of the SEC or Big Ten. Just allow the best teams, regardless of ranking, to get in. Don't put a cap on it, because at the end of the day, one year the Big Ten might have the best 6 teams. The Big Ten might only have 2 teams. So irregardless of what conference that you're in, we're trying to reward the age of competition. The reason why college football means so much to its fans, it's the ability to go out there and understand that every Saturday counts, irregardless of what conference that you're in.
All right, Tom, you had him up until this point. Smoke has now brought out, well, look at this, his red pen. He's underlining, he's making notes here. Let's talk about scheduling, because you're not just looking at the schedule of the playoff, you're actually looking at the regular season schedule as well.
Yeah, and to counter one of those points that you made there, Smoke, which are all very good points, the automatic bids in conference play will be based on your record in conference. So every game will still matter. So you have to win your conference games to get the automatic bids. Those will not be based on rankings. But for what I want to do to bring uniformity to the process is every Power 4 league will have to play 9 conference games, which would leave them 3 non-conference games. And of those 3 non-conference games, you will be required to play 1 Power 4 team, 1 Group of 5 team, and 1 FCS team. And the thought process behind this is the FCS team kind of serves as somewhat of a break in what is going to be a very long and very difficult season. And also, it helps FCS programs who often rely on that revenue they get for playing those games to fund their athletic departments. But I think what will happen here is it will also lead to really good non-conference matchups, because if those auto bids are based on nothing but your record in conference, if you're Georgia, you can schedule Ohio State for a non-conference game with the idea that if we lose, it does not impact our ability to get an automatic berth by finishing in the top 3 in the SEC. In fact, we stand with more to gain, because if we win, it will help our seeding in the end, whether we get an automatic berth or not. And if we don't get an automatic berth, it will look terrific on our resume when it comes to arguing that we deserve that at-large spot. And on the flip side, if you lose that game, we've seen plenty of history in the past where when you play tough games in non-conference, the selection committee has not punished teams too greatly for those losses. So I think in the long run, you get everybody playing a 9-game conference schedule, which leads to more equality as far as strength of schedule is concerned, and you get everybody playing those non-conference games. It leads to a much easier process in determining at-large bids.
Okay, Tom, one of your final notes right now, and Smoke, I'm going to come to you on this. Sorry, I should put on my glasses. Is Chip's recommended, Chip, sorry, oh, don't tell Chip I did that. Tom's suggestion, I'm so sorry, to start the season earlier. So it would be the week before Labor Day weekend. Playoffs would usually begin the first week of December, and everything would end. Is that right, Tom? The final weekend in December, not the last weekend in January, because we are waiting forever this past year. Smoke, what do you think about that? Tom's idea, not Chip's idea.
Listen, Tom, love that idea. Get everybody started in week 0. Forget the few teams and finish the season off in December. Love it. Because an old personnel guy like me, being a general manager at the University of Maryland, former guy, I love the fact that now you're giving me a chance to improve my roster by going into the portal and shopping. And you're giving me an opportunity now to have those young people on campus to make quality decisions to make sure that my roster for next year makes sense, but we're still getting the best players and the best key in terms of winning national championship and winning the games of college football.
Tom also points out not so much direct competition with the NFL. Tom, are you guys going to talk about this on Cover 3?
We will be on Wednesday's show. This will be part of it, talking about our college football playoff plan in a little further detail, because Chip and I will have a full hour to go into it.
Ooh, okay. Yes, you heard the name Chip. The other guy who is one of the hosts of the Cover 3 podcast, along with Tom Fornelli. By the way, not only check out the Cover 3 podcast, make sure to go check out Tom's full article on CBSSports.com about his proposed changes.
Ohio State won the first edition of the 12-team college football playoff, but there's already talk about changing the way the sport decides its national champion. Buckeyes beat Notre Dame in the title game, dominant en route to winning it all as an 8 seed. In late May, it was announced that the college football playoff and its committee would move to straight seeding for the upcoming season. Last year's seeding structure saw the top 4 seeds given the highest-ranked conference champions. In a straight seeding format, teams seeded in the same slot that they're ranked, with the top 4 seeds earning a bye and going straight to the quarterfinals. All right, let's bring in Josh Pate with a look at the CFP, and we're kind of piggybacking off of our colleague Tom Fornelli, who put together his list of ways to fix the CFP. Although, Josh, I will say there was a caveat that Tom put in there. He said he was good at 4, by the way, but we're putting him through the mental exercise, and the editors are putting him to work. One of the topics is, should we go to 16? So, again, Tom was good at 4. We're at 12. Do we go to 16? What say you? Agree or disagree?
All right, so I've got some disagreements with Tom's format, but I do want to preface all of this, Tommy, with he and I are in lockstep. Okay, he and I were 2 of the few who were fine at 4, and we waved our fingers and warned everybody, and this is what we were warning people about. I read every word of what Tom wrote twice, and I see where he's going. To me, you have to differentiate, like, are you trying to make the playoff product itself as good as possible, or are you a regular season absolutist like I am, and you want a playoff product that crystallizes the value of regular season? So for that reason, I saw his thinking on 16. My thinking is 14. Like, I didn't mind the AQ structure they put out there, as crazy as it sounds. I didn't mind that whole 4-4-2-2, 1-1, whatever it was format. It's just so dirty because it guarantees AQ spots to conferences. But, Tommy, when we're getting into a world where we're going to be 14 or 16 teams deep, I know they're going to get them in anyway. And beyond like 4 or 8 teams, you're building this huge safety net under regular season games wherein you know you can do what Ohio State did last year. Lose a game and then lose another huge game, and no, it doesn't matter. We'll fall in the safety net. I hate that. So I actually prefer the format they put out there where you would have 4 guaranteed spots for the SEC, 4 guaranteed spots for the Big Ten. But the important thing, look how much I'm talking with my hands, Tommy. That's how you know I'm serious. The important thing would be, while those conferences themselves would be guaranteed those spots, there's almost no individual team that would be guaranteed anything right up until the end, because that format coincides with the play-in format that they would have on that first Saturday in December, where 1 versus 2 in the league standings play for the conference title game. And those are your only 2 guaranteed teams that are going to the postseason. Elsewhere, 6 is going to go play at 3. 5 is going to play at 4. And I want you to think about that for a second. For everyone talking about how much this diminishes the regular season when you guarantee these conferences something, what I just laid out for you is a path where Alabama could be the 3 seed. They could be a 2-loss SEC team going into the last week of November. In a 16-team pure seeded format, I know they can afford to lose 1 or 2 more games and get in. If you go the route I'm talking about, they know nothing. They know the only thing they've earned is maybe a play-in opportunity. If they lose that game, they're out. And the reason I prefer 14 over 16 is because I want those play-in games to be play-in games. I don't want there to be at-large spots. I want you to be walking the tightrope. I don't care what league you're in. I don't care if you're the 3rd best team in the Big Ten. If you didn't earn the right to play in that conference title game, I want you to be vulnerable to missing the postseason entirely the first Saturday in December. To me, that format is how we crystallize that kind of urgency on the regular season.
It's interesting you brought up Bama, because we've had already a couple of analysts do the schedule thing. I've had 2 different analysts go 9-3. One, like Damian Harris, say you're not going to get into the CFP. You have another analyst saying, yes, you're going to get into the CFP. So it also then lends to the point of what Tom's saying, and you brought it up too with the SEC and the Big Ten, the big boys, so to speak, access or limit access there. 3, 4, whatever the number is, whatever the percentage is. Where are you at when it comes to sort of having the bids to get in for the big conferences?
Well, this, to me, is accomplishing a version of what Tom said. It is limiting access, but what it's doing is it's capping it at 4. Like, you know how many spots you're going to get, in my model at least. You know you're going to get 4 of them in, no more, no less. And to me, the reason I like it that way, Tommy, is you could argue with me back and forth about the sanctity of the playoff. And I would argue back, I think it would be an incredible playoff product. But where I'm coming from is almost like an entirely different island than most people argue about. I don't particularly care about the playoff being the center of my college football experience. I care about the regular season being the center. And so while I do respect the concept that was presented there, I think we can accomplish it, but we can accomplish it and in the process also make these conference races and regular season games back to what they used to be, which was the center of the college football world. And as you've heard me lay out, and I've laid it out for like 30 minutes on my show, you don't have to take one or the other. You can have an expanded playoff, 14 teams deep, 16 teams deep. And if you structure it the right way, which I think includes the AQ structure, Tom does too, to an extent. Mine's just a little different than his. I think you can accomplish both. Outside of that, I've heard all the arguments for people who want to go straight seeding. It makes sense when you have a smaller field. When you have a larger field, if I'm a 9-0 Tennessee team, first week of November, I know I can lose 3 games. I don't even have to win in November outside of my cupcake FCS game, and I already know I'm in. I don't think there's any place for that in the sport of college football. So take as much of the guarantee off the table as possible and put as much urgency on the table as possible. That's how I think we can accomplish both.
Great stuff, Pate. By the way, check out Tom Fornelli's right up there on CBSSports.com. Josh Pate, it's coming. I mean, fall camp, college football, and check out his show also live on YouTube and all the socials, X and Instagram.